Gamerdude 2088, and we're finally on the last part of our Rift Beast series, the Dark Rift Beast. And we're gonna discuss on what you need to do to improve, and the same things I'm going to need to do to improve in this Rift. The Dark Rift Beast bears similar qualities to the Necropolis dungeon, but let's talk about the mechanics that you will be facing with this one. Your special mechanic for this beast is Dark Roar. Attacks all enemies with a chaotic roar that grants the soul chain effect on one nearby enemy, completely excluded from the battle. The effect will be removed when you hit the boss a designated number of times. The amount of damage you receive will increase proportionate to the remaining soul chain effect state. The soul chain works the same way that the Necro, where it just pretty much take you out the battle, and instead your monsters don't attack you. It's just they no longer exist. It starts off at 30 number of hits that you have to do in order to remove the soul chain effect, and then every time it's used, it increases by 2 more hits. With this Rift Beast, you gotta bring in those multi-hit attackers. Well, or just monsters, rather, just to do multi-hits. You just got to bring those multi-hit monsters in. Remember that they're going to first target the front line with the soul chain. If you lose your monsters in the front line, then it will start targeting the back line. And when they're under the effect of the soul chain, they can't do anything. They just, it's pretty much like they're not there. So when I was saying, like in the previous videos about having that 150 speed threshold and bringing in that plus 1,000 attack, all of that good stuff, that it's really needed in this fight. And this fight is like, you really got to be fast, because you're probably going to be down one monster most of the match, unless you're just on some super in-game rooms, which this doesn't apply to those guys. This is more of a so for us people that's transitioning into the mid game and that's on the mid game level. Is like, you guys gotta really be geared down for this one, because it's not an easy rift to go up against, not at all. It's probably one of the harder ones, at least for me. I know it's one of the harder ones, and I have plenty of multi-hit monsters. It's just having that speed, lacking in that speed, and not getting those turns fast enough. So yeah, bringing in the violent and the revenge rooms is definitely needed for this one. Like, pretty much treat it like you're playing Necro, because this is definitely what's going on. It's like Necro mechanics on roids. And the longer you're in the fight, the more Thorn of Despair does. And if you're not familiar with Thorn of Despair, every one of the Rift Beasts do it. And it targets that front line, and the longer you're in the fight, the stronger it gets, to where it wipes the front line out and leave your back line exposed. So you want to get those monsters fast, you want to get them strong, so you don't have to succumb to Thorn of Despair every game you lose, because that's generally how it goes. Thorn of Despair happens, boom, kills up your front line, next turn wipes out the back line. Being slow is just not an option in this rift. You could just bypass your front line. So if you don't get that soul chain effect off immediately, then you'll be looking at 2 of your monsters under the soul chain and your back line getting wiped in one turn, because the last thing you need is Thorn of Despair stuck up your back line's ass, because that really hurts. That's like playing Overwatch and you are bashed, and then Genji comes in the back and reflex kills you and then ult the supports. But that's another game. Some of you will get my analogy there, but this is probably the one rift where I went through a ton of fucking monsters trying to figure out what combination would work and who to really be in the front line, who to be in the back. Because you can see here that he likes targeting my Vertihile, and Vertihile is a key essential tool into, you know, getting turns. So it's like being down that one monster hurts, and you just got to look at it like you're going to always be down one monster. So it's like you got to really pay attention to who you bring in and what they're going to apply for you. Because I did try to put Lapis in the front line, but it just wasn't working out, because I needed her to get those turns. I needed her to get those hits, because we just wasn't getting them down enough, and the boss was just getting too many turns most of my runs. Like, my runs are consistently better with her on the back line than her tanking the front line, because I got her on a tanky build. Now let's talk about some of those monsters that you can bring in to make this Rift Beast easier for you. And I want to first start off by saying bring in monsters that can bring 3 hits, possibly 3 hits on the first skill is really helpful, especially for us lower ranked players. It's really helpful because you need to get as many hits as possible. Having monsters that can bring in three to six or even more multiple hits on the third skill is good as well, but you want to get as many consistent hits as possible. And we have a few monsters that's pretty good. Colleen's a great candidate because she gives you attack buff plus the heal. You see that I use during here, and then even if you check the listings of like most used on the A plus bracket, it's like A bracket or and above. She's one of those monsters. I think she's like one of the top picks within the listings. Roke is a good monster as well. I mean, he got his what's that team up? Yeah, it's called team up. I know somebody got group up and all that other stuff. But yeah, his team up, which is pretty good. The hell sucks because now he can get another monster in that also is a multi-hit attacker, which will give you more hits in that turn. And then if he procs on his first skill, he can go just crazy and it's like sick what Roke can do. I mean, I like watching like when YDCB uses him in his videos because he's like sick when he goes off, and that's like one good monster that you could bring in. Lukasha, she has her third skill allowing her to attack 6 times, and I believe the first skill is a 2-hitter, or it's like the second skill is multi-hits or something like that. I know she's a multi-hit one, as well as I know some of the other harpies can do multi-hits as well, so they wouldn't be bad to bring around. Of course, Randy like to go crazy. Randy procs on his that's the first skill, or no, second skill. If he procs on his second skill, it's just like Rogue. He just go blah 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 and shoot for days. So Randy is a great monster to bring in to this dungeon. No, I'm just on the fire monsters, but so many good fire monsters that you can bring. She was even a great one. She got 3 hits on the first skill, which is great, and then she got 5 hits on the third skill. That's like excellent, I believe. So I mean, I know all of the what are they? The Nine-Tailed Fox. That's right. I know all of the Nine-Tailed Fox have 3 hits on the first skill, but I think she will be the best one to have if you have She-Wolf. Vertihal, of course, because I mean, Vertihal is Vertihal, and why wouldn't you use them if you have them? I use why mostly for the damage. She got the possible multi hits that she can do, which is not exactly the most consistent, but she can do them, and it is pretty helpful. Tark is a good monster. Tark got his. I think he's the group hunt. Okay, it's group hunt. Tark bring in 2 other monsters that can help. Amma. I use Amma in this one as well as like a healer, as well as bringing in those extra multi hits when needed. I personally think Lapis is a great monster for that, so hopefully you didn't feed your Lapis or get rid of her, because I know she's been useless for so long, and she's probably only good for like TOA, Necro, and this Rift. And I decided it's like I was sitting down with my nephew, helping him, get better at the game, because he just started playing and everything, and he was going through his Lapis, and he's like, yeah, I'm now at the point where she's just not good anymore. And I'm like, don't get rid of her, keep her, because you probably going to use her. You probably can use her for Necro or the Rift that I was thinking about building her for. So I just said, forget it. I'm gonna build her, and I'm gonna build her on a tank build, just so she can do the front line. That was my intent, to have her on the front line, like I was saying before, but it didn't work out quite well. But I mean, you have the 3 hits on the first skill, which is great, and then there's 4 hits on her second skill. I mean, the third skill, I was experiencing a lot of lag when I was recording this video, so I had to shit can a lot of the footage because it just was not working out. But I was talking about the Lapis as well as the other magical knights, but in my opinion, I think Lapis was probably the best for this Rift between all the magical knights, because I believe she brings in the most hits. Don't quote me on that. I was looking through it then. I'm not looking through it now. She should be efficient enough for this fight. Now, me personally, I don't have the adequate damage for this riff. And I mean, each riff can be easy. I believe they're all relatively easy. The only thing that's really difficult is if you don't have the monsters or the rooms for the monsters to push you over the top to get you to where you need to be just to be able to do this fight. I'm going to recap just saying you bringing in those multi-hit monsters, making sure your speed and your damage is efficient as you can possibly have them, as well as just having tons of fun. Now, in the future, I'm going to do like a rehash of this series and go back through each one of the dungeons and re-explain everything, but I wanted to just get this out because I know a lot of players that shouldn't be doing it, like myself, because I'm really not farming. It's not for real. I know a lot of you out there are farming just because you want to, and you wouldn't listen if I were to tell you not to do it. So I made this guide for the people that shouldn't be doing it, so it could be as easy as possible for them to progress in this new content. But really, this is in-game content, and none of us should be doing this if we can't get like A's and above. And I recommend like B minus or whatever. But I hope this has been beneficial to somebody in this game, and this is the Gamer Dude signing out. I've had so much fun making all the guides. All the feedback that I've been getting from Reddit and Facebook has just been hilarious. Like, I shouldn't be in here and I shouldn't really be making a guide, but I'm doing it anyway. And that'll be all for now. Deuces.